I think depression starts for a lot of people at 22. You graduate college full of hopes and dreams, only to encounter the soul-crushing realization of what the rest of your life looks like. And for most people, that's a 9-to-5 job for the next 40 years until you retire. And it doesn't even matter what job it is, whether it's a dead-end job or a cushy software engineering role. I think a lot of people in their 20s feel this sense of unfulfillment. If you were given the option to live your best life, but you had to die at 50, would you take it? I definitely would, because I strongly agree with what Seneca said. Life is like a play. It's not the length, but the excellence of the acting that matters. Living life on autopilot is what makes life depressing. But what about money? You need money to live, and you need to work a job for money. People who say that money doesn't matter clearly grew up with a lot of money. Money only doesn't matter when you have enough of it where you don't have to think about it anymore. And it sucks that life is so expensive. Rent costs thousands of dollars, food is expensive, healthcare isn't even free in the US, car insurance is mandatory, tipping culture is out of control, and for some reason, you need to pay TurboTax hundreds of dollars a year just to pay more money to a government who spends it on funding overseas wars. I know there was a study done a long time ago where they said that peak happiness was $70,000 a year because it fulfilled your basic Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's probably $100K now due to inflation, but the point is, making more money doesn't buy more happiness. But why are most jobs just so soul-crushing? Well, maybe not every job, because I'm sure there are some people who love their jobs and find a lot of fulfillment in it, like Janine at Abbott Elementary. But I personally don't know anyone like that. I think it's partly because humans weren't hardwired to do the same thing every single day. To do the same job over and over again, writing emails in a chair, spewing corporate jargon, and spending 8 hours a day in a corporate building. I used to be so excited in high school to work a big boy job. And in college, I was so excited to graduate so I could join the real world. You know, to climb the corporate ladder and be super successful. But after working 3 months at my first real job, and it was a pretty good job, I was pretty much over it. I didn't have much motivation to go above and beyond. I didn't really care to get promoted anymore.
You have been promoted. You are now one of my elite employees.
And when I saw the life my higher-ups were living, I knew that I didn't want the same thing. I guess I just get jaded easily, and I know it's annoying for me to complain here about not liking my job when there are so many other people unemployed. But I just wasn't happy, even with disposable income. When I think about when I was happiest in life, it was actually when I was in school. And when I reflected a bit more, it's because I had actual concrete goals I was working towards. I worked hard to get good grades. I worked hard to join extracurriculars. I had drive and motivation to go above and beyond because I cared about getting into a good school and getting a good job. And that's because everyone around me had these exact same goals. Society puts very few expectations on students except for them to do well academically. And plus, your routine is very structured. You're told what to study, what homework to do, what assignments to work on, and a teacher will tell you, good job if you did the work well. It's all very straightforward. You had actual milestones to look forward to and to work towards. Take a look at Michael Phelps. He admits that he got depressed and even contemplated suicide after winning the 2008 Olympics because he didn't know what to work towards anymore. He was already the greatest. People always make the same joke about how in high school they could wake up at 7 a.m. and do 6 hours of school, then go to basketball practice for a few hours, and then volunteer at their local nonprofit, and then go home to do 4 hours of homework. And then you hit college and you can barely make it to your 8 a.m. lecture. And then you hit adulthood and you don't want to do anything after your job ends at 5 p.m. And I think a large part of this isn't because people are just getting older and weaker. It's because life gets boring as you get older. In high school, you see your friends every day. You hang out with hundreds of your peers. You even study 8 different subjects. You have dances, clubs, competitions, and sports you're actively encouraged to join. And then you reach college. You still see your friends every day, and you might see them even more now with dorm life. But joining clubs just isn't the same anymore, and your lectures feel impersonal because there's hundreds of students. And then you graduate and get your first real job, where your coworkers are twice your age, your friends live far away, you have to put on your professional hat and sit in a chair 8 hours a day attending pointless meetings and writing emails. No wonder it sucks the life out of you. That's why I'm always super impressed and inspired by people who break out of the traditional mold. People who take risks with their lives, doing what they want to do, and not worried about straying away from convention. Like TikTokers Claire and Peter, who quit their jobs in North Carolina to travel the world with just $45,000. Or even Emma Chamberlain, who decided not to go to college to pursue content creation full-time. But perhaps the most difficult thing is people don't know what they want to do with their lives. Do they want to be famous? Do they just want to be parents? Do they want to teach? I think no one really knows the answer. but I think it's superficial to think that people can only do one thing their entire lives. Why can't people change what they want to do in life as they grow? Maybe you liked being a doctor for a few years, but then decided that you didn't enjoy it anymore. Who says you can't become a real estate agent afterwards? Or even an author? I think we're so set on putting people into boxes and pigeonholing them into one career for the rest of their lives that everyone becomes scared to try different things. When the ironic thing is, the biggest risk you can take is to do nothing at all.